I believe that there's a really, really strong link between love and motherhood. Love is bigger than a feeling, it's bigger than an emotion. It is a calling, and it's my form of ministry for sure. But I think as mothers, whether we are creating content or stay at home moms or we have 9 to 5s, if you have kids, motherhood is your ministry in one way or another. Welcome back to Ministry and Motherhood. If you've never seen me before, I'm JD. I create faith-based content here on YouTube designed to inspire and encourage women of all ages on this journey we call motherhood. I post videos weekly, so if you find my content helpful or relevant, I'd love for you to join the sisterhood. All right, I am very excited for our next installment in the Fruit and Motherhood series. Today we're going to talk about love and motherhood. Our question to kind of keep us on task is, what are the attributes of motherly love? And I did a lot of research. I did a few Bible plans. I went through a lot of articles online, even some other YouTube videos to kind of break down exactly what it is. Because I believe that there's a really, really strong link between love and motherhood. Love is bigger than a feeling, it's bigger than an emotion. It is a calling, and it's a form of ministry. It's my form of ministry for sure. But I think as mothers, whether we are creating content or stay at home moms or we have 9 to 5s, if you have kids, motherhood is your ministry in one way or another. And so I just want to share a little bit more, take a deeper dive into what that looks like. I've broken the attributes of motherly love into 3 categories that I think really embody how we show love to our children. The first one is mothers are a reflection of God's divine love. God has this unconditional love and presence in our life that even surpasses the love that we have for our children. In Isaiah 49:15, God uses this imagery of a nursing mother to illustrate the deep and compassionate love that he has for us, and he kind of compares it to a nursing mother. And I've never been a nursing mother yet, well on my way. But when I think of a nursing mother, I think of how much care and compassion she has to give to that newborn. And it just goes to show that God loves us so much deeper and with so much more compassion. But we mirror that as mothers, and I think that's a beautiful thing. We also provide comfort and protection. In Isaiah 66:13, I believe it is. Let me look at my notes. Yes, Isaiah 66:13, there is another imagery of a mother bird sheltering her children under her wings. And that's exactly what we do. And as I was thinking about it and writing this, I thought about the comfort and protection I provide to each of my kids and how different it really is. I have a baby in the womb right now. His protection is, the way I take care of myself and the way I take care of my body and certain things that I look out for, all the way up to my high school child who, I comfort her with friends and making friends and what it looks like to live in the high school world. And I protect all of my kids from social media and from just being out in the world too much. It's a fine balance, but that's all a part of our protection of our kids and the way that we comfort them in whatever way that they need at the time. And that is quite a task, but it's all a part of the way we show our love. The second way that we show love to our children is through making disciples. We create disciples as mothers. I think it is a responsibility of both mother and father, but if we just focus on the realm of moms, it's literally what we do. We have a spiritual calling to raise children in the direction and the instruction of the word. If you read Proverbs 22:6, it says to direct your children on the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. That's what we're instilling here as mothers. And when I look back at my own childhood, um, I spent a lot of time away from the Lord, like a lot. Once I did reconnect with God, and I did decide to follow Him and follow Him for good, it was easy for me to reflect back on my childhood. My mom wasn't perfect by far, but I remember the things that she instilled in me about prayer, about faith, um, about community and church. We were all over the place because we were a military family, but she always had us in a church. She always made it a point to have us somewhere in that Christian community. Same for my grandmother. My grandmother, I think, was a lot like myself in that she left Christianity, or she didn't find it till later in life. That's what I'll say. She didn't find it until later in life. Like the grandmother I had versus the mother my mother had, two very different women because it was before and after Christ. But she, during my childhood, she instilled so much of God and His love in me that once I was older, I was able to reflect back and say, oh, okay, this is what they were talking about. This is what they were trying to instill in me. And if you go even further and check out Ephesians 6:4, it says, Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. Although that starts with fathers, I just want to look at it from our perspective. We have to watch the way that we treat our children and focus on the discipline of the Lord. And I want to do a different discipline series because I think the way we were raised, and when I say we, I mean like millennials or people that are 35 and older, the way that we were raised is a lot different. And it was just very different than today. And I don't know that it was always focused on uh, the instruction that comes from the Lord. A lot of it is what came from us, and it's very hard to kind of ride that line. But that is our responsibility. We pass on our faith. We pass on our beliefs. In Second Timothy 1:5, the New Testament talks about mothers like Eunice and grandmothers like Lois, who were instrumental in passing on faith to the generations after them. And that's what we're here to do. I don't want any of my children to go out into the world and not have God. They have Him now, and they're going to keep Him because that's what we're doing as a family. God is one of the ways that our family stays connected. I'd say about a year ago, we started at a new church. Maybe it was more than a year ago. We started at a new church, and it's such a wonderful church. Church LV, if you're in Vegas, and our family has never been closer. My children are so into their small groups and their youth nights and their Christian friends that they're able to have like-minded conversations with, and it's really brought us closer in the home as well. And this summer, I'm gonna get with my husband. Well, this is me telling him now as he's my editor, and we're gonna do a weekly Bible study because I want our kids to have that foundation so when they hit the world and we're not there all the time, they know that they always have God to lean on in times where we're not available or it's not something that we as parents are able to do for them. So, creating disciples, second way. And the third way that we show motherly love is through sacrifice. Mothers make so many sacrifices. From the time we conceive, we're making sacrifices. We are sacrificing our body, hello, um, our time, our energy, sometimes our personal dreams, and we're sacrificing all of that for our children. Um, as I think I've mentioned before, my oldest three kids are from my husband's previous marriage. Those are my babies nonetheless. And I mean, from the moment I came into their lives, I was making sacrifices. And I didn't even realize it at the time. Um, I was sacrificing the time I would usually have spent with my dog. That was my only child. And yes, he was my child and still is. But he's my only child and I spent so much time away from him. I started to realize how much money I was spending. And it wasn't something that I didn't enjoy. It was just, oh, this is an extra little expense here. But I did it without even thinking about it because it just seemed like the right thing to do. And, I started to sacrifice my time because I was making plans for this and making plans for that and scheduling this. And, I noticed you have a gap in math here. So let's print out some stuff and let's work on this. And it was just sacrifice after sacrifice. And there is so much love within our sacrifices. I don't even know if we realize it, but that is maybe one of the biggest ways that I personally show love. There's nothing, I won't do for you. Now, I like my time and I like my peace, but when it all comes down to it, there's nothing that I wouldn't give for any of them. And I think that's really a beautiful thing because sometimes in the moment it seems like, oh my goodness, I'm always doing, I'm always giving. What about me? But then you look up one day and you see your kids flourishing. You see your kids out there with everything that you instilled in them, everything that you taught them about God, everything you've taught them about the world, everything you've taught them about the Word of God. It all just kind of comes together one day, and you're like, they're a little masterpiece. And it just creates a lot of joy in your heart. I think about our oldest daughter and how she's literally about to go to 10th grade, and that's so scary for me. I don't know if that is as scared as I am, but not scared. Scared is not the word. The world is just a big place, and so you worry about your babies being in the world when they're no longer under that wing of protection. And the more I look at her and talk to her and see her growth, the more I'm like, she's gonna be okay. We've done what we needed to do. And where I was ready to bust out the house at 18, when I mentioned her leaving the house or being on her own or doing for herself, she's like, oh, hold on. You moving a little fast. I'm only 15. And in my head, I'm like, girl, 15 turns to 18 quick. And she's like, no, it doesn't. You're rushing things. Calm down. And I love that because I was in a rush to get out there and get myself in a world of trouble and was in trouble for a long time. Um, and so I just I absolutely love that. We also, as mothers, model the sacrificial love of Christ. In John 15:13, I think it's actually 15:12 and 13. Yes, it is. It reads, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends." And I think about that in relation to the love for our kids. I'd lay down my life for all of my kids. I love them that much. They mean that much. And I know as mothers, most of us feel the same way. I'd also like to share some biblical examples of motherhood. I have three women in particular that I wanted to just touch on really quickly. Mary, mother of Jesus, is the greatest example of motherhood that I've seen in the Bible thus far. You think about Mary. Mary was there with Jesus through his immaculate conception all the way through his time on the cross. And she sacrificed a whole lot for her child. Her children, I'm sure, but with just a focus on Jesus, you know, the way that people looked at her for being pregnant before they believed she should have been. The way people reacted to her in general. Um, you also have Hannah, which I relate to the most because of the faith that she demonstrated. I learned so much about faith through Hannah, especially in trying to conceive and waiting on the Lord for that. Her story was such an inspiration to me. And then we also have Jochebed, Jochebed, you know who I'm talking about, Moses' mama, who risked her life and her livelihood to make sure that she was able to take care of her baby. And these women, they gave so much and sacrificed so much within their lives. Such a beautiful depiction of what motherhood should look like. Absolutely love them. Please check out any of their stories. They're all very, very inspiring. In closing, I want to give a answer to our initial question of what are the attributes of motherly love. The answer: we reflect God's divine love. We raise our children in discipline and instruction of the Lord, and we sacrifice for the well being of our children. As a food for thought, I thought it would be kind of cool to present a journal entry. Um, of course, you don't have to journal it. You could leave your response in a comment, or you could just think about it as you go throughout your day. But it says, think about the physical and mental sacrifices you've made today: sleep, personal space, a meal, a hobby. Instead of viewing them as losses, try to reframe them as an act of worship. How does laying down these small things help you understand the way Christ laid down his life for you? I hope today was inspiring and encouraging in some way. If you've made it to the end of the video, at this point, you might as well just give it a like. Maybe even a subscribe if you feel so prompted. And either way, I'll see you on the next one. Be blessed.